joining us, and because there is some weird stuff happening, if I was had to look for the centre of weirdness in this country, I would never have surmised Wellington, ever. I would have always gone to perhaps the fringes of maybe rural New Zealand for that sort of quirky weirdness. Oh, what sort of quirky weirdness am I talking about? Oh, the powerhouse in Bluff. That sort of quirky oddity that you look around. There used to be a program called That's Fairly Interesting or something like that, where they go around and they, what's the name? Chloe of Wainuiamata. Those sort of odd, eccentric individuals out there who just make you feel a little bit better about yourself. Who just make you feel a little bit better about yourself when you see them on national television. So I would never have associated Wellington, to be perfectly honest with you, with quirkiness, oddness, eccentricity, and frankly, quite odd social madness. But joining us to talk about that and giving us the latest of evidence for our letter from Wellington is Councillor Tony Randle, and he joins us now. Tony, sorry for the delay. Welcome to the show.
It's no problem, and yes, look, a lot of times people can have a bit of a laugh, even though it's serious, but they can have a bit of a laugh at Wellington's expense with some of the things that do happen up here. That's true.
Well, the other thing, and this is, can I say, you've got a classic this week. I have read, and I'm trying to understand if it's a piss take or not, a press release that was put out to Scoop. Now, were you responsible for the press release that goes to Scoop? I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about.
Yes. No, look, you asked about what the news was in Wellington, as we do before the show, and the big news, and it's a surprise to me too, is that the New Zealand Herald broke a story that Tori Fano has ADHD, and she gave an interview and it's sort of talked on Radio New Zealand and other things about her trying to understand the way she works. The puzzle to me is how much these personal stories hit the front page. Because it's really all about her, and I don't think it was a publicity stunt or anything like that. I think it was really a journalist noticed something on TikTok or Twitter or Instagram or something, and just followed up, and it sort of revealed that Tori has been working on herself, and that she says she's been diagnosed with ADHD and potentially with some level of autism, and that's the news, and then this goes towards people saying, "Well, is that true or not true?"
Well, let's get this. Well, that wasn't the weirdness I was talking about. We'll go to Tori. I was talking about the behaviour change team at your council, but I'll come to that in a second. Yeah. No, I'll come to that in a second. We'll keep on with Tori at the moment. Listen, I'm going to ask a question of you. If electors knew that Tori or any other mayoral candidate had ADHD, and apparently autism as well, would that affect their judgment, do you think, when it comes to casting their vote for the mayor of whatever the city, district, council it would be?
Look, it might well do. I have to say that there are some more marginal characters that stand who clearly are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And you don't need to get them to confess it.
No, we've interviewed them on the show. I have to say, boy, oh boy, you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Look, Tori herself didn't even know about this, according to her. So I don't think she's to blame. And she actually ran a really, really good campaign and got the votes. So, that's what you do.
She's highly functional, because prior to being this, she is the Chief of Staff for the Green Party at Parliament. So, she's clearly highly functional and able, and as you say, ran a successful campaign in her own right. Well, I don't know if she ran her own campaign, but the point was she was the front person for it. Can I ask you, and because now, does that explain anything about her behaviour to you now that the self-diagnosis has come out that she is ADD, ADHD, and allegedly autistic as well?
I think it does. And I also have to note, just over the last month, I think it's actually her self-revelation is actually making her a bit more effective. I don't know if it's the time where she's finding her feet a little bit more, but she, I said, I think even on an earlier show, that she should resign because she's simply not doing the job. And I do have to say on a couple of big items, she actually is doing the job as mayor, and that's good. Although, as someone who opposes the Green agenda, I'm really not sure whether I'd rather have an ineffective Green mayor or an effective Green mayor.
No, that's a very good point. Listen, so in terms of her personal relationship with councillors, because I've been a mayor, it is all about personal relationships. In terms of her personal relationship with councillors, since she's gone through this, well, I guess, if you like, psychological epiphany, has her relationship with you and other councillors, particularly those who might not be of a Green agenda, changed at all?
I don't think it's, from my perspective, it hasn't changed dramatically, but I think she's maybe listening a little bit more to other points of view, and even one would argue with respect to our sale of the airport's shares, actually making some quite hard decisions for a Greenie. Yeah, no, that was a big decision, all right. And has there been any? We talked about it last week. Just to explain, Mayor Tori Fano and her deputy, who is that, what's his name? Her name? Laurie Foon. Laurie Foon. Both Green Party members have voted with the Conservative elements on council, including Tony, to sell the entirety, I think, of the Wellington City Council shareholding of Wellington Airport, which was sort of, well, that's farting in church and urinating in the confessional as well, basically, from a Green point of view. Has there been any further developments or any further blowback on that in the last week? Well, there is, in the sense that there's now some councillors who firmly oppose the long-term plan that includes the airport shares. Because from them it's a party agenda point of view, and this is the plane of this council. That some decisions, the most important decisions, seem to be those decisions which cut across the party agenda. For me, it was very much just a sensible decision to spread our risk. We're having all your money in one egg in one basket, and then that basket sitting in the middle of the road is not a good plan. So it's just about having your eggs spread around a bit in case, so we don't lose them all in an earthquake. So that's why I said it. But for them, it's much more of a matter of principle that it's publicly owned. We don't sell it. I've heard so many arguments to try and persuade me to vote against the shares, but that's caused a split on the left side of the council, it seems. The motion was passed, as I remember, 10-8. The mayor and obviously the deputy mayor, both Green Party members, voting for it, voting with you. So that decision's been made as a committee decision. You then have to formally pass your long-term plan at a formal council meeting, do you? That's correct. And interestingly, two of the votes that were in favour of the airport share sale were the votes of the Tupou iwi. That's the appointed iwi reps and so that made the difference to get it over the line as well, which is interesting. In that, and really at the time, the elected members, were absolutely split. 8-8. 8-8, but the chair was against the sale, so the casting vote would have probably gone against the sale. Right. So now it's going to the long-term plan. Does that mean it gets relitigated again, that particular issue? One presumes so. Well, in theory, no, but this is politics, and the reality is it could well be relitigated. It comes down to the numbers in the end. So I don't expect it at this point that it's going to be trouble, but it's not, you asked for an update and it's not quite put to bed, so we'll see how that goes. When does that council meeting happen, Tony? It's 30th of June, at the end of the month. We always wait till the last minute. We're under audit. It's getting checked by the auditors and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The whole big process is, people who are close to council know it's all about huge amounts of process in between these big gaps of meetings. So 30th of June, and it'll be interesting times up till then, perhaps.